If you're considering marrying somebody just to help them get a Canada Permanent Residency or a US green card, you might want to think twice. Both Canada and the US are cracking down on marriage fraud, where people marry not out of love, but the sole purpose of securing immigration benefit. Marriage fraud is a serious issue, and those who are involved can face severe legal consequences. Here's what you need to know about marriage fraud and how can it affect you. On Valentine's Day, the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada warned Canadian citizens and PR holders about the dangers of entering into a marriage of convenience, where primary goal is to allow somebody to migrate to Canada deceitfully. The IRCC emphasized that real love isn't a crime, but marriage fraud is. The Canadian government has advised that people should think very carefully before sponsoring a spouse or a common law partner, specifically if certain red flags are present. Some of these red flags include a person wanting to marry very quickly, having been married many times before, or not sharing much about their background or their family. The government warned that entering into a marriage for immigration purpose could lead to serious legal action, including being banned from Canada for 5 years or even being deported. The IRCC also stated that its officers are trained to recognize fake marriages and they have multiple ways to detect marriage fraud. But let me tell you, this issue is not just limited to Canada. The United States is also grappling with a similar problem, as immigration experts have raised concern about marriage-based fraud. At a US House Judiciary Committee hearing on January 22, 2025, there is an immigration expert who kind of explained that marriage-based immigration category are vulnerable to fraud. The expert said, pointing out that some US citizens are being duped into fake marriages and the US immigration system lacks proper oversight to detect and prevent fraud. She shared examples of fraudulent marriages, such as a marriage fraud ring run by local officials in Connecticut, which involved hundreds of sham marriages used to get green card. She also criticized current immigration system, saying that it has too many loopholes, which allow unqualified applicants to receive benefits and citizenship. To address this, she suggested several measures that the US government should take to combat marriage fraud. She recommended the Congress direct the Department of Homeland Security along with USCIS, the State Department and the ICE to conduct thorough fraud assessments for all visa programs. She also urged Congress to mandate that all marriage-based immigration petitions require an in-person interview and that both the sponsors and the applicants must be self-sufficient. She further suggested that the DHS establish training program for local officials issuing marriage certificate and create a tip line for reporting fraud. Additionally, she emphasized the need for dedicated marriage fraud investigator program within USCIS, and that is to assist those who believe that they have been victim of marriage fraud. There have been several real-life cases where individuals have been caught committing to marriage fraud. Let me give you an example. In September 2023, Vikrant Chauhan, an Indian man living in Chicago, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit marriage fraud. He had entered a contract marriage with a US citizen just to obtain a green card. Chauhan was sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined $250,000. Then in California, authorities uncovered a large-scale marriage fraud operation where people paid around $20,000 to $35,000 to stage fake marriages for green card purpose. The scam involved fabricating abuse claims under the Violence Against Women Act and submitting fraudulent immigration application. The FBI, Homeland Security Investigations and USCIS conducted a joint investigation leading to the arrest and conviction of several individuals involved in this kind of scheme. In the meantime, the Canadian government has also flagged marriage for convenience, where the main aim is to help somebody migrate to Canada. The IRCC has made it very clear that it has the ability to spot false marriages and it will take legal action against anybody involved in marriage fraud. The government can even deport individuals caught in these type of scams and ban them from entering Canada for 5 years. So, if you are considering marrying somebody for immigration purposes, you should be aware of serious risks that are involved. Marriage fraud is illegal and it can have long-lasting consequences, including legal action, fine, and ban from entering countries like Canada and the US. The best advice is to ensure that any marriage you enter is based on genuine love and not a plan to secure immigration benefit. The governments of both the nations, Canada and the US, are actively monitoring marriage fraud, and both countries have implemented measures to prevent it. The rules are clear. If you are caught trying to use marriage to bypass immigration processes, you could face severe consequences. If you are thinking of sponsoring a spouse or entering a marriage for immigration benefit, make sure you are fully aware of the legal risk and the potential consequences. Stay informed and avoid the temptation to fall for fake marriages.